You're listening to Sustainably Geeky, the podcast for everyday environmentalists.
Hi, you're listening to Sustainably Geeky, episode 54. Today, I am talking with Viktória Pikovská, who is going to talk to us a little bit about art and how we can produce art more sustainably, and also how art is used in environmental activism and activism in general. Viktória is the founder and CEO of Victory Art, an organization that represents, promotes, and manages emerging Eastern European artists and advocates for modern perspectives of Eastern Europe. So, Viktória, thank you so much for being on the show. Can you start by telling us more about yourself and what led you to this line of work?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Firstly, thank you, Jennifer, for having me. And thank you for amazing introduction. As you mentioned, my name is Viktória Pikovská, and I'm the founder of Victory Art. And Victory Art is a company which is helping talented artists from Central and Eastern Europe to come to the global art world. Probably many of the listeners already know what's happening currently in eastern part of Europe, central/eastern part of Europe in Ukraine. And actually today is a very important day because we found out that Russia is mobilizing all men in the country. And so we are very keen to see what's going to be happening in the upcoming few days and few weeks. Based on that and touching on this topic, Eastern Europe and Central Europe was many years occupied by Russia, and this very much influenced the way how economics within this region was developed. What it actually ended in a way that many industries were influenced by Russia and by basically stopping this development in these countries. And the industry which was influenced the most was art industry. Artists didn't have opportunities to exhibit. They were banned for many years to promote their art. If there was a slight sense of revolution in art, they were put in jail, and this was environment where they grew up. Of course, this environment influenced the way this region is formed up to today, up to this date, and it of course influenced the way artists are perceived and are promoted in the global perspective. These artists were kind of living in the dark for many years. However, now they finally can be a little bit more open to the world and really show their art. So Victoria Art is all about helping this, we can call it even like underdog artists, to show their talent, to show their art, to help them speak freely about their art and what they feel, and even to show kind of like small revolution through this art.
Yeah, that's a really interesting background and history, and one that I think a lot of folks, including myself, weren't aware of, that art was so heavily censored, and um, just, I guess, people were afraid of it, right? Because of the potential for, like you said, revolutionary thought, or just inspiring people to um, think differently, I guess, from the status quo. So I guess Victory Art is kind of helping those artists catch up to the rest of the world, is what it sounds like.
Yes, definitely. Victoria Art is very much connecting them to the global art world, and at the same time bringing light to these regions. So currently, Victoria Art is based in two countries. One is Slovakia, where we have a very close connection with all the artists which are living like in the countries around this region. And at the same time in Rotterdam, where we can have a really close connection with our clients from, at this point, mainly Western Europe, but at the same time we're touching base in America and Australia in this year.
Okay. And so what services do you provide for the artist or the consumers? I guess what does it look like? Like, if I'm an artist who wants your help, what kind of assistance do you provide?
Mhm. So artists can apply to our platform where they can publish their artworks, their story, videos about themselves, and photos so people can connect with them. Uh, And through Victory Art, they're able to sell their artworks to the global world. Currently, Victory Art is available in all countries, and we are strongly pushing as well through external partners to be more well known. And so this is one perspective, this more commercial perspective. However, we're helping artists in different forms. So for example, we are running free seminars for them, so they can go literally through each field in the art industry, like business development, marketing, branding, communication with brands, with galleries, creating portfolio. So in general, like during the seminars, they get a perfect overview how to start their career and how to kick off their career, and really being able to compete on a global market. Um, Beside this, we offer them as well free consultancy. So in case they have some issue that they want to talk about, they can come to our professional team, and we're able to help them in this field. We are organizing exhibitions, online and offline exhibitions. We are strongly pushing collaborations with the different companies. So at this point, we're having collaboration with one company in Rotterdam, which is helping showcase our art in a great way. It's actually a restaurant, high-end restaurant, which is promoting our art. We're more pushing as well collaborations with hotels and developers, so people will be really able to see our art everywhere where they naturally go, so they don't have to necessarily go to museum or to gallery to see our artists. And in terms for clients, of course, they can come to our platform and choose their favorite artist and support them. The profit goes to artists at the same time, so we really focus on strongly supporting them. And we offer to our artists renting services and hiring services. So in case you as buyer, you're not sure if you will like specific artwork, you can always rent it. And if you want to buy a really, really expensive artwork, but you kind of feel like, oh, I do not have currently money, or I'm not sure if I can pay it like at once. We collaborate as well with external company, which is helping clients to purchase artwork in installments. So in this kind of way, we really offer different services to both groups.
Yeah, sounds like you are really flexible with both the artist and the consumer to help make art more accessible, because I think a lot of times people think of fine art as something only the rich can afford and enjoy, or you have to go to a museum. So this is a neat way to kind of merge technology with modern art and bring it to everyday people. It sounds like.
Yes, correct. You're absolutely right. So I have to say that when we started, it was a little bit more visible than it is right now. Um, but in the beginning, it was really huge difference, especially before Corona. People felt like, oh, I should not buy art because I do not understand art, or it's too expensive. And we even did like a small test round when we had a gallery, physical gallery. And in spite of the fact that we were very welcoming, our door was even open. It was January, it was -10, but I said like, hey, the door has to be open. People have to feel like they can come in. Like we saw that people were really scared. They did not want to come. And this is what changed, of course, with our approach, but at the same time, the Corona helped this approach, because people right now feel more confident to at least like scroll around the internet and like explore different places.
Yeah.
So this is one perspective about it. However, in terms of our approach and making art accessible, we really try to bring art closer to people, so they do not have to go to galleries where they feel still quite uncomfortable, but they can go to a nice restaurant or to, I don't know, nice cafe or lobby where they can see art, enjoy art, and buy it at the same time.
Yeah, I love that. Well, since you kind of already touched on this and said that, part of the, I guess, reason that you started this organization was to help artists who weren't able to express themselves for so long. I wanted to talk a little bit about how art has been used as a form of activism over the years, to communicate powerful messages, or even mobilize people politically. Why do you think art is an effective medium to communicate these messages and get people inspired?
Art is a subtle thing. Art can make people really feel things, and art can express such a strong and important topics words mm, a lot of times cannot, especially in the Central and Eastern European region. That was the reason why art was banned and why it was censored, because they knew politicians knew, the government knew that uh, the only way how people could revolve and rebel those days was art. So that's why they were so scared of artists. There were many even examples of famous artists, like, for example, one of the most important Czech photographers, Josef Koudelka, who really depicted what happened when Russia invaded Czechoslovakia, and he sent it to the world. And he was actually the reason why the world knew what happened and why that Russia actually attacked our country, Czechoslovakia, and we were afterwards under the occupation for 22 years. Yes, I believe it was 22 years. So art is in these cases like really tool where people can express themselves in a way that you cannot really argue with them like, oh, you did something wrong or you said some specific message. But at the same time, people can feel it, people can understand it, and people can sense it. Art cannot be explained, but it can be only felt by people. So yes, this is mainly the reason why art is perceived this way.
Yeah, there is something about a picture or even a video and seeing something happening, that you can't understand otherwise, right? Like you said, the pictures, of your country. I mean, we've seen it in the U.S. with the marches in the '60s,
Yeah,
the videos, how they galvanize people and get people so. Well, they wake them up for one to what's happening, and then also inspire that sense of righteousness. This is wrong. We need to fight this, or we need to find a better way. So I do think that's amazing, and it shows like that art can connect people from different parts of the world
mm,
that have similar struggles, even if they're different culturally. Like you have depictions in art of the same things happening. So it's
exactly.
really.
And even when you think about recent events in America, right? George Floyd,
Mhm,
the whole thing, what happened? If people would see it somewhere written or like they would just read it,
mhm.
they would react completely different way. But because they saw it, the whole world saw it. There were so many protests all around the world, not only in America. I remember even in Netherlands, it was lockdown, like very strict lockdown. But people were like, no, we really need to like step up and change it. And this, in my opinion, would not happen if there was not like a video and like really visual proof that hey, and people saw it and people felt something, and that was the thing what mobilized the whole world.
Yeah, it's incredible. I get chills thinking about it.
Mm.
um, so, since we are a show that focuses primarily on environmental sustainability, do you have any examples of impactful environmental activism art? If you know of any artists or works that you would point people to who are kind of interested in seeing some cool, unique examples of this.
Yes, sure, I do. Firstly, I would love to as well say that we at Victoria Art, we have as well a few sustainable artists in our portfolio. What I personally really love what they're doing and how they're doing the things. So, for example, from our own network, it's Andrea Ehret or Magdalena Shevchik. I'm gonna start with Magdalena Shevchik. She's a very close artist to me, and to be honest, I actually own one of her sustainable pieces in my private collection, and I have it at home. Uh, she is reusing old materials like plastics to create a canvas and to paint on it with different colors. why I love this artwork is that it's transparent. Usually when you see art, it's like it's canvas, it's usually like painted white. But because she's using old plastic she used before on for example, let's say like packaging artwork, or I don't know, pack, packing something else, she she's able to take this plastic, used plastic, make a canvas and paint on it and make it transparent. And when you look at it during the night or like during the day through different lights, like it looks amazing. And at the same time, Andrea Ehret, she's a really amazing artist. She's using sustainable colors, and at the same time, nowadays you're already able to use or to actually buy sustainable canvases. So that's something amazing. Another person who is not actually in our portfolio but is amazing artist and is from Slovakia, from the country where I'm from. His name is Tomáš Libertini, and what he is doing is that he prepares a specific shape of something. So let's say it can be vase, and he lets bees to basically create the artwork around that specific shape. So it's kind of like a vase in the end from a bee wax.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
That-
it's stunning, and he is literally creating a whole sculptures out of it. I saw vase. That vase was like 1 meter tall, but I saw as well different kind of sculptures, like a Egyptian inspired sculpture, and even a lot of sustainable brands started to work with him because they felt so inspired by basically using in this positive way nature to create art and to create sculptures. So that was definitely amazing, and this artist is worth to be checked. Another maybe American artist is or is group of Melting Panthers by Bob Partington. He's as well creating standing waxed sculptures. Another artist can be Jenny Candler, who is as well creating different sculptures from like a bird with different bird species. So definitely those kind of people are worth checking. And maybe my favorite, and this artist is very well known, so I believe that some listeners might know him as well, is Ai Weiwei, and he's creating different, really different kinds of art. Sometimes it's sculpture, sometimes it's painting, but his way of creating art is not necessarily creating art from sustainable materials, but very strongly working with nature and creating topics around nature and impact of the world to nature. I don't know, maybe someone visits Venus this year, actually Venus Art Biennale, and this was stunning experience because a lot of different pavilions and different exhibitions were connected with sustainability and were raising important topic of saving environment. And one thing what made a massive impact, and this is another thing what I would definitely suggest people to Google, is Malta's pavilion in Venice Biennale, because that one was is actually the world's first artwork which is completely CO2 free. So I don't know how they exactly did it. I believe that they might buy some CO2 offset or something like that. But this is the first world artwork which is actually really certified. So definitely check it out. It was stunning. It was water, and in the water it was some burning liquid dropping into it, and it was in a dark hole, black hole, and you could only see these drops. It was stunning. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, those are incredible examples. And what I love is that you're talking about people who are making art out of sometimes everyday objects or things that are easily accessible to others. So I think a lot of times people can be intimidated by creating art because they think I have to buy canvases and paintbrushes and fancy paint and all this equipment, and it's so expensive. But it sounds like there are so many ways to make art just out of what you can find, or upcycling things, or going to create a reuse store, or just, you can get creative and you don't have to spend a ton of money just to create, if you just want to flex that artistic muscle that you have.
Yes, exactly. And I have actually one funny, but at the same time, a little bit embarrassing story. So when I started Victoria Art in 2017, I went to a networking event and I met there a man who started talking to me about sustainability in art industry. And first of all, I'm coming from Central Europe, so the sustainability is becoming important topic there only now. So
Hmm.
people start to be educated about the importance of being really conscious about our actions now. Before, I remember when I was young, it was not there at all. Uh, and of course, like living in Netherlands, sustainability is a really hot topic. I would say one of the number one topics. And this man came to me and he was asking me, so, okay, do you have like a sustainable artist? And I was like, what are you talking to me about? Like, I didn't understand. What do you mean by sustainability artist? Like, art is not sustainable. Art is not supposed to be sustainable. Art is supposed to
Yeah.
be art. And then he asked me, so like, does your do your artist actually paint with some sustainable colors? And I was like, what do you mean sustainable colors? And then it was actually the first time when I was kind of introduced to this topic of sustainable art industry. And this man was actually owner of a company which was distributing fruit and vegetables all around the world. And he told me that this might be a very interesting idea for people sometimes in the future to actually create um, colors out of fruit and vegetables.
Hmm.
And now I really started pushing it to our artists, like, hey, experiment, like really try to experiment with
Yeah.
everything you have at home, because you don't know how it's gonna work out in the end. So let's just be open about this.
Yeah, especially when you hear about how much food gets damaged and wasted in transit. Like there could be a business
Yeah.
opportunity to take that bruised fruit and create paint or something with it. That's an interesting idea, or dye for clothing. I mean, there's so many neat ways that if we just kind of think outside the box a little bit, we can come up with stuff. Well, thank you for sharing those artists, and I will get the links, the names and links from you, so we can post those in our show notes for anyone that wants to look them up and learn more about their work, because it sounds really interesting, and I love the plastic one sounds really cool, just because you want to see plastic getting a longer life than just ending up in the Pacific garbage patch or something eventually. So,
Yes. Yes.
and
I should, and uh, I have to say that I'm right now much more sustainable, a lot because of my fiance. And
mhm,
we have like this kind of tradition that every single time we go, I don't know, maybe to forest or to beach or close to sea, like whatever, we
mhm.
always like keep taking the plastics out and throwing it away and like
Oh,
try to clean the nature a little bit more. So this
yeah,
is like a nice habit we have at home.
yeah, I love that. That became a big thing, I think, a few years ago, where people would go jogging and they would take a bag of and pick up trash or something. And if everybody did that, it would just make a huge difference. But
Mhm.
I love that. Yeah, everywhere you go. Well, I'll just real quick do an aside, kind of similar to what you're talking about. If longtime listeners of our show may remember, I did a in-depth ride along with the folks at Living Lands and Waters, and they are an industrial strength river cleanup crew along the Mississippi in the U.S. And their barge is really cool because they've taken a lot of the trash that they found and made art out of it, or made
Mm.
displays. So they had, and I can send you these pictures and post them, but they've made murals or canvases, pictures out of old bottle caps that were different colors, and they just did like a rainbow and different designs. And then they did the same thing with straws. I think they had one made of lighters. So I mean, you can imagine how much of this stuff they find
Oh,
picking it up throughout the year. But they also had an entire fence on the outside where they put baby dolls, which was really creepy. But it could be considered art because it's
Yeah.
upcycling old dead baby dolls. And
Mm.
but yeah, it was just really cool though to see like they're not just throwing it all away; they're actually making something with it, and showing that hey, you can kind of do the same thing if you have a lot of certain type of trash around you. Maybe you could make some art out of it. So
That
um,
sounds amazing. That sounds really great. I love
yeah.
it. So creative.
Yeah, and yeah, you wouldn't think some of the things you take for granted every day that you throw away or you put in the recycle bin, you could actually collect over the long term. So, well, cool. So that gives me and our listeners a lot of things to explore. I think when we're looking for new artists to follow and content to possibly create ourselves. Um, and I kind of want to circle back now to talk, I guess, about ways to make art more sustainable. We've touched on this a little bit, but art is very integral to the human experience, and it's been around for thousands of years. I mean, you can find cave paintings and carvings and things all over the world. Um, but it can be resource consumptive in some forms, like we talked about. So, I guess, can you think of any historical examples of art that has been produced sustainably in the past or now, even any more that we haven't talked about?
Yes, sure. To be honest, there are multiple kinds of way, or actually multiple examples, when art was very sustainable, even in the past, even like in the 15th, 16th century. So probably a lot of people will know Raphael, the painter, the Renaissance painter, and he was using mineral colors to create his stunning painting Madonna in Child of Enthroned with Saints, and this painting is well seen all around the world, and it's really still high quality painting even after so many years. So it happens many times that artists are so concerned to use alternative methods because they think that all my art is gonna disappear, it's gonna be not as high quality, and my buyers will not want it. But when we're thinking about this Italian Renaissance painter, one of the most famous one, and that he really used a mineral to paint his painting. It's amazing. Another things, what's kind of well known from like 50 years ago, it is land art. So land art is basically creating artworks in nature. So for example, if you go to beach, you take a wooden stick and you create some shape, or you create some picture in the sand, or you go to forest, you create something beautiful out of branches. So there are many things you can actually do even with nature. This kind of art, especially land art, is kind of unique in its way of being preserved only through pictures and videos, because it just like disappears at some point. So this is kind of all the things people used to do. If we're looking more into what's happening nowadays, and how people are using or trying to be more sustainable, it is, for example, this reinvention of furoshiki. It's the art of Japanese fabric folding
Mhm.
as a way of uh, of really making things kind of protected. That was like the main purpose, or like to wrap gifts. However, nowadays it's really becoming a thing where you take, I don't know, can be canvas or can be anything what has like a circle or square or rectangle shape, and you are able to even fold like old fabric and make a nice like bowl out of it. And I saw it that many people actually put it in their living rooms or in their offices. It's a very it's a thing which is not like mainstream, but it's becoming slowly popular. And when you
Mhm.
take old fabric and you reuse it, you're able to really create some unique artwork, which no one saw before. So it's a really stunning thing. And of course, there's one thing which is so old. I believe it's from 15th century, and that is about kintsugi. I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly, but it is basically art of repairing broken pottery with gold.
Mhm. Yeah, those are
And not,
beautiful.
yes, and not like really wasting those things.
Mhm.
So my friend, she's Nepalese, and this is very, very popular in her culture.
Mm.
And so she bought this kit like a while back, and my fiance's granny, she died last year, and he actually had a very, very sentimental ways from her. However, when we were trying to bring it to Netherlands, it got broken. And my friend came with this thing, and that was the first time in my life when I saw it. And we were able to repair that vase, and I'm like nowadays I'm using it like it never happened. So this is really nice things, you know. You can give like a second life to things you would normally throw away.
Yeah, and add a little beauty to it as well. That's really cool. Well,
Yes, exactly.
I love all of those examples, and you mentioned the supplier, the paint supplier earlier. But are there any other trends you've noticed in the industry as a whole um, towards sustainability? You know, whether it be suppliers or artists or anyone in between.
Well, so one thing is definitely increase of awareness and increase of distribution of sustainable colors and sustainable canvases. So this is number one thing. Another thing, what
So,
is kind
sorry,
of
what makes a canvas or paint sustainable? I guess.
well, paint. It is usually from more ecological and biological. Uh, I don't know, like ingredients. So that's
Okay.
so it's not very like chemically used. Sometimes it is, for example, reused old minerals. Sometimes it's reused fruit.
Hmm.
So it really depends a lot on ingredients,
Hmm.
and at the same time, locally produced. You have, for example, in Central and Eastern Europe, you have specifically one producer who's really like doing it in a specific cities, and you can only like pick it up there. And he's really trying to be conscious about CEO offset. So this is
Okay.
one perspective. In terms of creating old canvases or creating art from or having like this sustainable canvas, it is either through like reusing old canvases or reusing old fabrics to create a new canvases. Or second thing, which is quite controversial, but sometimes it happens that artists literally take their old paintings and they reuse them again and they create something new because they just feel like, oh, okay, so maybe this is not vibing with me at this point, or I do not feel that this is actually a good thing, so let's not buy another canvas, but let's just reuse this old one. So
Mhm.
this is one perspective, but in terms of being more sustainable at this point and with the current trends in art industry, there are as well few things. So one of the things is to be really more conscious about art fairs and shipping.
Mm.
In terms of art industry has a very bad reputation of not being sustainable and having a huge CO2 offset. You know, like when you're shipping a lot of artworks from one fair to another, from one gallery to another, from like artist gallery to client, it's a lot of CO2 offset. So there's recently a lot of criticism about art fairs and really increasing awareness about decreasing amount of art fairs. What successfully happened during Corona, because many art fairs did not succeed, but at the same time using CO2 free shipping companies. So shipping companies which are really using electric cars and are very conscious about these things. Of course, it's quite a little bit more expensive than normal shipping companies, but nowadays you can see that especially uh, in generation of millennials, as I would say people about 30 years old up to 40, 45 years old, you can see this generation which is really like looking into, okay, so if I'm gonna do this, how am I gonna influence my planet? And so we see from this shipping perspective, those two things are very important right now, and this is very hot topic in art industry. And from perspective of being more kind of like a tag, but at the same time, bring art close to people without having CO2 impact. We saw that there are many online exhibitions popular, that people are really less demanding to see art in person, and they're more open to really see art online. So these are two really big perspectives in art industry which are making a big difference currently. And the last thing, what's quite like upcoming thing, it's not yet there, but hopefully we can see that it's gonna be here very soon. It is creating and incorporating kind of sources of creation of renewable energy in art. So I saw that solar panels are implemented in arts, solar panels are implemented in sculptures, and this way people are able to enjoy it, but at the same time it looks beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. Um, well, I'm glad to hear the industry is taking these things seriously and changes are being made, even if they take a long time. But
Yes.
yeah, I understand too. You know, when you are shipping art, you have to protect it, and it requires a lot of stuff to physically protect it. But at least hopefully that's being reused, and then, like you said, if it's being shipped emissions free, that'll help in the long run. So. Would you offer any additional tips for existing or aspiring artists looking to minimize their carbon footprint? I know we've already gone through a lot, and we've mentioned kind of using what you've got around you and upcycling. But is there anything additional you would tell them to look for in creating art?
Mm, well, definitely like upcycling is amazing thing. So do not hesitate to do it, because a lot of artists feel concerned that, oh, my clients will feel like I'm using old things and I'm not taking them seriously. It's absolutely not like that. Second thing, it is a lot about educating your clients about this. So really make them understand, why are you doing this, why are you doing that, why you chose this. In general, I see it as well with victory art, that artists do not take seriously describing their artwork. They feel like, oh, person just looks at what I'm doing and they automatically will understand me. It's not like that at all. So especially when you're a sustainable artist, make sure that you describe to people, why are you marked as a sustainable artist, what value you bring to the world. And the last thing, really try to use the CO2 free emission companies as much as possible. Of course, I understand that it is quite more financially demanding. However, if there is a client who is really looking at the impact in the world, in the art world, I do not think that they will really mind to pay a little bit extra money for for shipping and for packaging.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what you said about one, don't be afraid to try, using upcycled items, because me personally as a consumer, when I hear something is made from something else, I'm more intrigued. I think, oh, that's unique, it's different.
Mhm.
And I do like hearing about how it's made, and like you said, explaining the process, because if I know you painted that using fruit or something else, like bees, made the vase or whatever, like you said, I'm more intrigued and interested in buying it than if I just saw it and thought, oh, well, you sculpted it. But I mean, and that's cool. But like I don't know, that just adds an extra perk for me personally as a consumer. So, um,
Yes.
yeah. On that note, are there any things for consumers to look out for, and when they're shopping or when they're commissioning art? what can we do to kind of be more sustainable consumers of art, or the certifications as well?
So the best thing for you personally would be, or like for in general for people who want to buy art, is to buy art from local artists. That's like the best thing you can do. Just buy a local artist. There are so many amazing people in your area everywhere. There are so many talented people. So just really try to think about it. You do not necessarily have to, ship art from Asia, to Europe or something like that. You have amazing talents, so just try to look at them. Try to find maybe in a network of some galleries or some online galleries, local artists. Like sometimes we even have clients who order through us, and they're like, "Hey, I want to pick it up myself because I live nearby. I don't want you to ship it. I don't want the artist to pack it." And this is amazing. So even when you maybe find artists online through some gallery, or I don't know, through some e-commerce portal or whatever, just try to email them like, hey, can I pick it up?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Being creative and willing to kind of do a little extra, maybe to avoid, shipping if you can. So, okay, well, I think we've pretty much gone through most of the questions that I had, and I know I've learned a lot about how art can be produced sustainably and enjoyed sustainably. Are there any additional resources or just things we didn't get to touch on that you might want to add to the conversation?
Yes, sure. There are actually two things I wanted to mention. There's a very nice book which is called To Life exclamation mark Eco Art in Pursuit of a Sustainable Planet. So this is one of the amazing sources people can have a look at. And at the same time, there's nice guide for artists, which is called Eco-Friendly Art. So if you're an artist who really tries to be more ecological, have a look at that book. And Victoria Art Team is regularly creating different content on topics as sustainability, even shipping for artists. So do not hesitate to check our website, even subscribe to our newsletter. And if you're an artist who is interested in really getting a lot of information about sustainability and shipping, you can go to our website and you can find seminars from the beginning of this year and from last year we did about these topics. So just go there. And if you have another question or some questions about these topics or even other topics, do not hesitate to reach out to our team, and we definitely will find a way how to help you. Even if you're outside of Central and Eastern Europe, we love to talk to artists.
Awesome. And that website is victoryart.eu.
Yes, that's correct.
Great. And I'm guessing you're on all the social media platforms as well, so people can find you there.
Yes. Currently, it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok, you name it. So just
Great.
just choose one, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we will go ahead and move on to our green life hack portion of the show. This is where we share one thing that listeners can do to live more sustainably, maybe reduce their carbon footprint a little. So, Victoria, do you have a green life hack for our listeners?
Yes, I actually have, and this is something what I practice for literally past 2 years. Yes, it's past 2 years. So I'm gonna do like a small advertisement to one app, which is called Too Good to Go. I don't know how popular it is in America, but it's becoming very, very popular in different countries in Europe. And this is basically an app where like stores can be really like a small local stores, but can be as well like a bigger food stores like a Spar or Tesco, I don't know, Lidl or like whatever. They can sign up to this platform and they can offer a food which would be normally wasted to people to
Mhm.
purchase for I don't know, like 20% of a price. or like 30% of a normal price. This is something that I keep using very regularly. Yes, literally for past 2 years. This is like a normal practice in our household, and we basically just book a. It's called like a box, like a magic box from like different stores, and you always get like different breads, different vegetables, different fruits. Sometimes it's even biological meat, like even vegan stuff, and we just like really love it.
Yeah.
You can buy food for such a uh, cheap price, and this is food which would literally be thrown away
Hmm.
by these companies because they cannot sell it anymore.
Hmm.
And this food is still good, but just regulations in European Union do not allow them to do it. So this is a great life hack, which actually can especially nowadays save people a lot of money. So I don't know, there should be definitely some very similar apps in America as well.
Yeah, I don't know that I've heard of that one, but I love the concept, and I will look and see if there's anything in my area. We're usually where I am right now in Texas, a little late to get that kind
Yeah.
of stuff, but I'm sure the big cities have something similar. And it sounds like it's kind of similar to finding the clearance section at the grocery store with things that are about to expire, but this actually
Yes.
gets delivered to you, which is even better. So
Yeah, exactly. And you can really get it from like a bakeries. To be honest, I was really astonished by waste of bakeries, like
mm,
how much they throw away. When I was still student, I used to work in one bakery, and when the bread did not look the way it was supposed to, or when there was a crack in the bread or something, they just threw it away. And I was so shocked. I never seen it before that someone like threw a whole bread away. And I just couldn't understand it. And now when I'm buying this through this app, and I go to bakery and I still see that this is happening. Of course, because of this app, it's not happening that
yeah.
often, and of course it's like much less than it was before, but I'm still so shocked.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, a lot of places in the US make it supposedly illegal or very difficult to donate old or just not old, but um, messed up food that's not as
Mhm.
pretty from restaurants, because supposedly they can be sued if they donate it and someone gets sick to like a shelter. But I think there's now laws that are kind of working around that to kind of help prevent the waste and help people get the food that need it. And I've actually heard that maybe in France it's illegal to throw away food, or some
Oh,
European
really?
countries, like it's illegal to throw it away if you can donate it. So if that's the case, I
Hmm.
love that.
Yes. For example, in Slovakia, my city where I'm from, they donated every day to local zoo.
Mm. Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah, those are amazing things, or like to
Yeah.
shelters for people. Definitely, like
Farms or
food
yeah,
can be used. Yes.
yeah, that's neat. Well, anything that helps prevent food waste, I'm a fan of. So definitely look into that, folks, if you're in an area that has something similar and you like saving money as well. My green life hack is kind of echoing something we talked about recently in our conversation. You mentioned supporting local artists, and I second that wholeheartedly. And specifically, I would say go to farmers markets, and Comic Cons are actually a really good place to find artists. I'm a
Oh,
big geek. Obviously, the name of the show is Sustainably Geeky, and I used to go to cons all the time when I was younger and first discovered them. But there's actually artist alleys in a lot of these places, and most of the art is fan art for comics and movies and video games and stuff like that. But there's a lot of incredible, art that's made there, and you can see, spray paint artists and paint traditional paintings, but also, people that do it digitally or do it by pencil, and they'll ink stuff right in front of you. So it's a really good, neat way to find local artists and maybe get something that unique that you can only find at these cons. So that's my life hack is try to find your local artist in different ways that maybe you wouldn't have looked for before. Um,
Great tip. Great tip.
yeah, thanks. Well, again, thank you so much, Victoria, for being on. And do you want to plug Victory Art one more time, where we can find you online, you and or Victory Art?
Yes, sure. So definitely check out our website, victoriaart.eu. We are on all social media, literally all social media. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok. We even have our own podcast. We have actually season from last year. However, hopefully we can make it work this year as well and bring to you some sustainable artists. So we will be very excited if you visit us.
Great. And you can find the show Sustainably Geeky on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as YouTube and anywhere you listen to podcasts. So please subscribe if you don't already. Give us a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, a star, whatever they ask you to do. Share with your friends if you're so inclined. And if you have ideas for future topics or guests, feel free to send those our way through social media or our website. And then also, I can be found personally on Instagram and Twitter at Head's Gonna Be Me. And we appreciate you listening, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.